Okay, let's unpack this. We've got the files from it has to be the most dramatic and just strategically baffling qualifying session of the whole year, Las Vegas.
Oh, without a doubt.
So this is a deep dive, and we're definitely going beyond sport here. We're not just looking at a timesheet. We're looking at, a perfect storm of human error, crazy conditions, and some really high-stakes calls that basically decided everything.
That's it. That's the core of it right there.
Yeah.
The story of Vegas Quali isn't about who was fastest in a perfect world. It's about who could survive when everything went wrong.
And the rain, that wasn't even really in the forecast, was it?
Well, it was supposed to hit Friday, maybe.
Yeah.
But then Saturday comes, and this brand new street circuit turns into just something incredibly hostile. And this wasn't just a bit of drizzle. This was cold rain on a cold new surface. So the grip, it went from low to basically zero in an instant.
Exactly. Which is what made it, an unbelievably chaotic qualifying session. And it's bad when the blue-marked wet tires come out.
Full wets.
A sight so rare this year that one of our sources actually called it an emotional moment. That tells you everything about how desperate the teams were to find any kind of traction at all.
And that context is so important. They weren't just driving in the wet. It was a brand new track. No rubber, no grip, and no temperature.
So our mission here is pretty clear. We need to figure out what surprised us the most in all this chaos. Who, rose to the challenge and really cemented the reputation, and what do the huge mistakes, and both from the drivers and the teams, what do they tell us about the pressure when the rules just completely change on you?
Yeah, where do we even begin?
Let's start with just the physical reality of the track, because this is where that beyond sport idea really kicks in. Reading the notes, it wasn't just wet. Everyone called it an ice skating rink.
It took you right back to Turkey 2020, didn't it? That kind of feeling.
It did. The drivers looked incredibly slow. Sometimes it looked like they were crawling at maybe 3 miles an hour through a corner. And yet they were still setting green or even purple sectors because everyone else was struggling just as much. The lack of control was just something you could feel through the screen.
But the thing that stands out to me, the big psychological piece, is what didn't happen.
Go on.
Before the session, we saw analysts predicting, and I'm quoting here, at least 24 red flags.
Right. Everyone expected it to be a complete stop-start nightmare.
And what did we get? The biggest statistical surprise of the day.
Yeah.
0 red flags.
Absolutely none. It's kind of unbelievable when you think about it.
It is. Despite cars aquaplaning all over the place, the drivers, almost all of them, kept it out of the wall. Yeah, there were yellows everywhere, but they kept the session running. Even that Albon hit, which looked nasty.
I thought for sure that was a red.
Me too. But he was able to roll it back, and they kept going. It just shows an incredible level of collective car control under, extreme pressure.
So if we pull back, why should you, the listener, care about that? Well, when the world's fastest sport is forced to slow right down because of an impossible challenge, that's when you see the real skill. The car advantage is just neutralized by the water, and it comes down to raw talent.
Raw talent and self-control.
It's speaking of raw talent struggling, let's get right into the Q1 shockwaves. This gave us the biggest headline of the day. Lewis Hamilton, qualifying 20th, dead last.
Yeah.
And immediately, the question in all our sources was, are we watching the downfall of a legend?
It's hard to avoid that narrative, isn't it? Especially when you look at his whole year. People are calling this his worst season of his career, hands down. And we have to remember what a bad season for Hamilton used to look like.
Right, 2011 was seen as a slump for him.
A slump. He still had 3 wins and 6 podiums that year. This season, the results just aren't there in the same way.
And the mistakes in the session were so not him.
They were. He looked clumsy. Famously driving into a bollard, getting it stuck in the car.
Yeah.
But what makes it more complicated and what moves it into that beyond sports zone is the team failure.
The pit wall.
The pit wall. It sounds like there were major communication breakdowns. He wasn't told he had to push to cross the line in time. And this is a driver who usually thrives in the wet. We saw it at Silverstone this year. But here, he's last. It's a mix of him struggling with the car on this unique surface and a complete breakdown of team execution.
So is it a downfall, or is it just a very specific failure of the Mercedes package to adapt to this very specific weird set of conditions?
It's probably a bit of both, but you can't ignore the visibility of the errors. P20 is, it's P20. And then you contrast that with another guy eliminated in Q1, Alex Albon.
Right, because the Williams actually looked pretty quick in the wet. Albon had the pace to get out of Q1 easily.
And that's what makes this situation so gutting. It was a massive missed opportunity. He was the only driver in the whole session to have a proper crash that took him out.
A pure driver error.
Exactly. And when you see his teammate, Carlos Sainz, go on to qualify P3, it just highlights how costly that one single mistake was. Albon's was a physical error pushing too hard. Hamilton's was sort of systemic, both out in Q1, but for very different reasons.
That's a great way to put it. So while Q1 was about the Giants struggling, Q2 was where the pressure really moved from the driver to the pit wall. And that's where we have to talk about Lance Stroll, P14.
Yeah, that was a strange one.
Because the Aston Martin's usually decent in the wet, right? They can get heat into the tires, so what on earth went wrong there?
This was just a classic case of unnecessary risk. The team put Stroll on intermediate tires when everyone else could see the track was demanding full wets.
A huge gamble.
An absolutely insane risk, is how one source put it, and it was totally uncalled for.
But why unnecessary? If you can get the inters working, you find a ton of time over the wets.
That's the thing, that's the gamble. But you only take it if the track is drying, or if you're desperate. The conditions were getting worse, not better. And Stroll was already on the pace of his teammate Alonso. He probably would have made Q3 comfortably on the wets.
So they gambled for an extra 10th they didn't even need?
Exactly. The risk-reward was completely upside down and it backfired, costing them a guaranteed Q3 spot. It's a perfect example of the chaos spreading from the track to the strategy meetings.
And it wasn't just strategy, was it? The chaos was even hitting the administrative side of things.
Oh yeah. This is where it gets really interesting. The pressure of the wet weather led to some shocking regulatory problems. We saw the FIA investigating two separate issues.
What were they?
First, Antonelli failing to submit his setup sheets. And then Kalinko was investigated for using tires from practice that hadn't been electronically signed off for qualifying.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't deep in the weeds, why is failing to submit a setup sheet such a massive deal?
Well, the setup sheets are mandatory. You have to declare every component on the car to the FIA before the session. It's to stop teams from making illegal last-minute changes. If you don't submit it, the car is technically ineligible to run.
And the penalty could be disqualification?
Potentially, yes.
Right.
And why does it happen? Simple human error under pressure. The mechanics are scrambling to change everything for the wet. The engineers are frantic. And the compliance officer, who normally has a straightforward job, suddenly has 15 things to do at once. That one vital administrative step just gets missed.
Fascinating. It shows the strain on the entire organization, not just the guy in the helmet.
Exactly.
But let's move to Q3, because amidst all that chaos, we saw, well, the ultimate triumph of pure skill. Lando Norris on pole.
What a lap.
He's been delivering time and time again lately, and this felt like the peak of that. What's incredible is he got pole by a huge margin, even with a visible mistake in the final few corners.
This was a pure driver session. The car mattered, of course, but Lando made the difference. And contextually, he beat Max Verstappen, who is, widely seen as the best wet weather driver on the grid.
He beat him decisively.
He did. And McLaren wasn't really expected to have the fastest car in Vegas if it was dry. So this result, it just screams that Norris's skill completely triumphed over any car deficit. He's just operating on another level right now.
Okay, but let me challenge that for a second. Is Verstappen really pushing 110% for pole when the championship is already won? Or is Norris just hungrier, more willing to take those risks?
That's a fair point. Norris is definitely driving with that hunger. But Max is a winner. He drives to win every session he's in. The fact that Lando was just demonstrably faster, even if you factor in a tiny motivation drop from Max, it shows the gap Lando created. He was finding grip that just wasn't there for other people.
And this brilliance from Norris puts a really harsh spotlight on his teammate, Oscar Piastri.
It does.
Strong start to the year, but he didn't have the pace of Lando in this session at all.
And now, the championship narrative is looking very, very likely for Norris. Oscar is struggling to find that same peak performance in these really high-pressure mixed conditions. The talk around his championship chances is getting, well, a little desperate.
How so?
One source actually said that Piastri's only real hope now is, and I quote, praying that his nearest competitor plows into the side of Norris at turn 1.
Wow, that's extreme, but it captures the momentum shift, doesn't it?
It really does. It shows you how big that gap has become in the last few races.
So given that, let's talk about the start of the race. Norris on P1, Verstappen P2. That is a recipe for a very dangerous turn 1.
Oh, absolutely. Max has, as we said, nothing to lose. He is absolutely going to send a dive bomb into that first corner. He has to.
And Vegas Turn 1 is known for being low grip, even in the dry.
So Max can afford to be on the absolute edge. It sets up a really tense moment right when the lights go out.
And the grid they're lining up on is going to be a mess anyway, thanks to all these failures we've been talking about. Let's look at the penalties.
Okay, so Carlos Sainz qualified a brilliant P3. He is almost certainly getting a 3 or 5 place penalty for rejoining the track unsafely. That one feels like a lock.
And then the big one?
The big one. George Russell, P4. He's under investigation because Mercedes failed to submit the setup sheets for both of their cars. If the FIA follows precedent, that could be disqualification for both of them.
Wow. So if you do the math, Sainz drops. If Russell is DQ'd, then suddenly Oscar Piastri could move up. Liam Lawson, who qualified P7, could start as high as 4th.
And Lawson deserves a massive shout out for that P7. He has had a quietly fantastic end to the season, and he is perfectly placed to benefit from everyone else's mistakes. This could be a huge reward for him.
And while that's happening, you just have to feel for Ferrari. Leclerc P9, their other car P20. Their wet pace is historically not great, and they were banking everything on a dry weekend where they thought they'd be strong.
Their whole weekend strategy was just broken before the race even began.
It's the hope that kills you.
It really is.
So, to wrap this deep dive up, the key takeaway here is that Las Vegas qualifying was the ultimate beyond sports story. When conditions are at their absolute worst, the whole hierarchy just gets exposed. We saw the gap between an elite driver like Norris and a struggling legend like Hamilton. We saw the massive cost of strategy and compliance mistakes from Stroll and Russell. It was a test of human resilience.
Precisely. And that leads to the final, I think, provocative thought for you to consider. With all these pending investigations, the starting grid is going to be a lottery.
Incredibly volatile.
So what stands out to you more? Does a completely scrambled grid putting someone like Piastri or Lawson unexpectedly near the front? Does that actually increase the chance of some crazy race moment that flips the championship, even more than the qualifying chaos itself already did?
That's a great question, because those championship-defining moments often happen when someone is out of position and feels like they have absolutely nothing to lose.
Which is exactly where a Lawson or a Piastri might find themselves. It just introduces the possibility of the ultimate outlier event.
A lot is riding on what the stewards decide in the next few hours. We definitely encourage you to follow up on those final results. That's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.